Hi, everybody. So, welcome to the final episode of Living with Annietude. It has been quite a journey. It's an exciting time as much is happening. Um, it's been such a journey of just evolving and growing and meeting all of you and building this community, and living with Annietude will always be a part of me, always. But it's time that it comes to an end because we have evolved into the Soul Center Experience live show. However, we have one last show. My gratitude alarm, as we all know, just went off. It goes off at 8 o'clock, as we all know. And I am grateful tonight to have the one and only Kelly Blackmon here. I'm going to have him join me in just a second, but I wanted to first, it's evolving, not ending. Thanks, Mike. You're right. It is evolving. This just happens to be the last Living with Annietude episode. Good evening, Nelson. How are you? Great to see you. I'm going to bring Kelly in just so he can say hi. I'm actually not home. My sister's here. She's in the other room. So she might come in and say hello. She's in from Brooklyn. We just had dinner and my face hurts from laughing so hard. So that's what I'm grateful for tonight. The fact that I could be with her and laugh so hard you could cry. That's the kind of laughter we just had. We're big movie quoters, so that's what we were doing. Philip Davis, so happy that you're here. Great to see you. So I'm going to bring in my amazing guest who I chose specifically for my last Living with Annietude show because he's very special to me. We bonded since the first time we met, and he's an amazing, amazing man, and I can't wait to have him here. So welcome Kelly Blackmon to the stage. Hello.
Hey, Annie, it
What
is so good to see you.
are
Wait,
you
let me make
upset
sure.
that
Can you hear me?
I didn't have a squirrel come up? So are you
Ah,
upset? I don't
well, you know what? In our own way, we're all squirrels trying to
We're all
get our own,
squirrels just trying to get a
get
nut.
our nut. Yeah, so
Yeah,
it's okay.
yeah. All right. It's nice to see you. Nice to see you
Yes,
too. No, I
yes.
didn't want to disappoint you because I didn't have a squirrel.
Never,
Um,
never.
but so tell me, so just so you know, you already know this, but like you're extremely special. This
Oh,
is my final Living with Annietude episode. This is at the end of an era for me because when this started, I was really beginning my true journey of
yep,
evolving to from my heart center, and sort of even learning so much about what my heart center is and who I was, and learning about my core values and finding my power and standing in it. And
yep.
that has traveled with me along with in this journey, and all of my Living with Annietude, you can see if you go back to the beginning, sort of where I started, and I was nervous, and I was like, I didn't know how to go live, and I was worried I was going to say the wrong thing. And now it's like, live. Come on, let's do this. I do four live shows today. No big deal. Who cares? Like, let's just do it.
Yeah.
Let's just be with. And part of the best part is people like this. Hi, Susan. Hello, my dear. Hi, Adam. Great to see you. Hi, Michael. Awesome to see you. Shiv, nice to see you. Good morning from India. Good morning. Oh, I hope you're well there. Still thinking about you guys.
Yes.
Jonathan McQuiston, one of my favorite supporters. This is the reason that I continue to do this stuff, because when I have this audience that's engaged and like this community that we are both a big part of,
Hmm.
it's such a driver for me to keep evolving. And
Yeah.
it's just been such a run, that now, and like Mike said, we're moving into this soul center experience, which is going to be so exciting. But I wanted to have you, because I want to hear what's going on
Well,
with you, but I wanted to have you because I wanted to see what's happening in your world. And you are such a good person to talk to regarding transition and evolving. And I know you're going through your own transition. So
mhm.
I'm going to hand you the stage. Tell us a little bit about you and what you have going on.
Well, first, let me just say this. I totally 100% appreciate you having me on, Annie. You know, like you said, we click from like the very first one. I remember I read one of your posts. I don't remember what it was, but I was like, "Oh, she's for real.
Yeah,
She's for real."
I think you
And
wrote that. I think you
yeah,
wrote, "No, you're
and
real."
because for me, I've been coaching for a long time. I've been even when I wasn't like getting paid for coaching, like I've been coaching for a long time, and you run into so many people who are so deep into hiding themselves and hiding from themselves that you were like such a breath of fresh air. It's like you were like open and raw and vulnerable, and that puts you on like a collision course with eventually being hurt or eventually having something that derails you. And I've seen you go through over the past year, go through so many of those like times where you're like, oh, this happened, this sucks. And let me just say, you are my sister and you are an inspiration. Like, I really do love you,
My
and that is,
brother, I will love
yeah,
you always.
yeah,
We have a thing. I was on your show. It was so
yes,
fun. You
yes,
make me feel comfortable, and you always like would send me a DM or something and just be like, "You're so real, girl." And
yep,
like I
mhm,
just try to show up that way. I do
yeah,
show up that way. I'm gonna change my languaging. I do show up that way, raw and
you
real
do,
every day.
you do all the
And
time.
when someone recognizes you for that, when someone like points out and acknowledges you for what
Yep,
you're doing and who you are, that is
yep.
such a good feeling. So thank you. I appreciate
Well, it makes you a kindred spirit because, as you know, for me, I've really been on this sort of journey of let's keep things real. Like let's normalize things that we're scared of and things we're afraid to talk about. So in a lot of ways, as a society, we're so much more, as a world really, we're so much more polarized because uh everyone's really like, hey, let me get into this really tribal us versus them mentality. And if you really think about it, that all stems from this idea of really being afraid of not
that.
having enough or being afraid of not being enough. And when I see somebody like you, Annie, you're like, yeah, screw it. So I'm enough because I am what I am, and this is what's here. And you can start to see people react to that. And to me, like that's what the change is. That's what the change in the world looks like. It doesn't look like it doesn't necessarily have to look like political change or religious change or systematic change because those things are up to a much, much bigger group of people. But right now, today, me and you, we can just decide I choose to be different. And to me, man, like that is what changes the world. And to see you put that into play is it really is. It's faith inspired and it's inspirational.
Thank you, my dear. And you know what it is? I was just thinking as you were talking and saying that you and I connect on this level because we are both soul centered. And when
Hmm.
you can meet on a soul level, it's
Hmm.
very, very different than,
Hmm.
and I'm not, disrespecting or saying that heart centered or mind centered. There's nothing bad or bad or good. It's just when you can connect on a soul level from the depths of my being, I feel you as my brother.
Hmm.
Like, and
Hmm.
we see each other. Like I see you.
Hmm.
And there's a whole other world in that can be explored. But you're exactly right. People definitely are scared.
Yeah.
And I am here to show people you don't have to I'm not saying don't be scared because you're going to
Hmm.
have fears, right?
Hmm.
But don't let that stop you.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny that you bring this up, and I'm gonna selfishly plug right now my
Go for
course that
it.
I'm working on. It's one of the things that I would call like the tenet of being balanced, and courage is a big one of those. And we've all heard that quote that courage isn't the absence of fear, but it's basically what you do in spite of the fear. And to me, like that becomes the work now. So while I like the coaching and I like the money and I like the clients, it really becomes about making this sort of this butterfly effect sort of shift in the world by basically choosing. Like I always say, my superpower is the power of choice because
Mm,
you can do anything you want to me. You can kill me if you wanted to, but you can never make me change who I am internally. And I can choose to accept death or hardship or anything before I decide to change that. And that hits me on a like a deep moral and really connected level. And when we're talking about the way that we get along and kind of like the way we both see the world with this sense of balance and realness and showing up that way, it really is about having this measure of courage to say it really doesn't matter how everyone else sees it. And when I see you and I see the way that people are around you and the people that I know that I can see your influence on them too, and how you've influenced me even. So when
oh,
we're talking about this sort of thing, it really becomes a bit of a I would like to think a societal shift, but all in all, what we get to see is that we affect each other, and because we do, every time you do this, every time you go live, every time you show up and people are looking, they get to know it's okay. It's okay to be flawed. It's okay to have that fear you're talking about. And in
Yeah.
the end, the more we start to recognize that, the more we understand that, shoot, I'm not that much different from everyone else. Especially because you can see somebody who's as awesome as Annie who goes through the same thing. And it's like, okay, so it's not just me. Oh, well, if it's not just me, if it's all of us, then and now we're connected with each other. And I'm really pushing for that. Like, none of us know how long we have on in this life. None of us know what our legacies are going to be. But to me, if you're working toward that, man, that makes you a special person.
And I think, thank you so much. And I think so much of what you're talking about, a choice for sure, but also
Hmm.
connection.
Hmm.
Like that feeling of connection that we get here, that I'm able to feel when I create my content and put it out there. It is so, look, this is tattooed on me for a reason. That means
Hmm.
truth. Okay.
Hmm.
I am standing in my truth. When I got that tattooed on me, it's for life. I'm
Hmm.
standing in it as my whole self. And like, there's going to be people that don't like it. There's going to be
Hmm.
people that like
Hmm.
it, and our community can come together. And I'm here to raise other people up and help people become and walk into their truth. And
Hmm.
that's what my purpose and mission is. But I didn't know, Kelly, I didn't know what my mission and purpose was until I went through what Mike and I created, Mike Paterano and I created the breath framework, which is the program that we're rolling out.
Hmm.
And that I work on with my clients one-to-one. It's begin where you are, reclaim your power, excavate
Hmm.
your core values, allow, through, and heal. And when you do all of those steps, and I went through each of these in my journey. That's
Yep.
and he did too, and that's how we
Yep.
came up with this. So this mirrors what we're doing and working through with other people, mirrors
Hmm.
exactly what we've been through and what we continue to evolve going through.
Yep.
And
Yep.
it's really, starting where you are, beginning where you are, and like you said, making that choice. And
Mm.
can and I when I stepped into my truth to be my whole self, when I reclaimed my power, that's when I started to become whole and going on this path to fulfillment.
Let me ask you, Annie, and I know we're just vibing and having a convo, but I gotta know because I'm a natural interviewer.
I
What
can't wait.
what
Interview me. Go ahead.
what happens? Because now I know some of your backstory, I know some of your origin story, but what happens that says I can make this shift? Because so many people aren't able or willing, and like I said, a lot of people hide from themselves. What got you to a place where you're able to say, I'm willing to take that leap?
I think, there were a couple of things in my life, but I just got to a place where I I found I found out that I was like at the end of the heart center journey, and I
Mhm.
needed to reach a place of wholeness, and I still wasn't whole, and I was wondering how to get there. And when I stepped into my wholeness is when I excavated what I say, excavate my core values. When I
Mhm.
aligned with my core
Mhm.
values and figured out what those were and live in my truth every single day, doing everything passionately and with all of my being,
Yep.
stepping into those and living in those every day, that's when I became soul centered. So to go back to what you said, to bring it full circle, I made a choice one day.
Mm.
It wasn't like one thing happened. I mean, there have been serious influences in my life and definitely instances of things that have happened, but it's really been a slow evolving and then ultimately a choice on this journey to say, you know what,
Mm.
I'm going to live fully into myself. And what I discovered, and people have heard this story ad nauseum, but what I've discovered is the funny part of my whole core values story is when I went and I looked through like 150 words, looking at different core values. I'm like, which one am I? And I laughed at one. Swear to God, I laughed at one. I said, oh, freedom. Why would anybody pick that as their core value? Like, what? And I laughed. And I was like, obviously, empathy, obviously, honesty. And I'm picking all these. And then I realized after this excavation exercise, I realized as I dug really deep that personal freedom is the overarching core value of all of my core values.
Mm.
That's the main center crux of all of it. And it's the one I laughed at. I was like, why would anybody pick that? But my personal freedom to show up as me, to be me, because for so long I hadn't been.
Yep.
To
Yep.
show up as me was my truth.
Yep. It's kind of funny that you'd mention that because I remember you telling me that it had been like forever, like pretty much as long as you had remember it, you were always in a relationship. You're never kind of by yourself. And to kind of see the kind of the arc of this journey where you go from a person who had like never like really been single, been alone, like you've always been like with someone, and that kind of was your completion, to kind of see you break from that and then come into a place where you've evolved into like you're you. You're you, and you're fully and totally you. It is all it's like the idea of seeing a caterpillar become a butterfly, but like on a super huge level. And one, I'm proud of you, but two, I really love the idea that you make the point that other people can do that because other people aren't free. I just posted something. I don't. I've been so caught up in this course that I am like this course I'm working on
I
that
get it.
it's been so I've left social media almost totally because I've been so engrossed with this because this idea of finding like the thing you mentioned about finding your core values
Purpose.
and
Mhm.
yeah, and how that connects with your purpose. Like I wake up every day, and no matter what kind of night I had the day before, I'm excited. Like I'm
Oh my God,
excited.
I know you're feeling me
Yeah,
on this. It's like you
yeah.
found your purpose and your
Yep.
mission. I
I
am
wake up
psyched to
earlier
do
every
life.
day.
I
Yep.
know.
Yep.
I'm like
Yep.
excited to get up and do life. Like that's how I feel
Yep.
every single day.
But I've been on the other side of that where I woke up in the morning and it's like, oh God,
Oh man,
you know
another
what? Like,
day. Oh my
yep,
God,
like,
Kelly, in my darkest days,
yep.
I used to pray for the sun not to come up. I mean, I used to
I
say,
was
like,
just gonna say it.
please
Just
don't
gonna say it.
rise. Don't,
Like,
I
you know
can't
what?
take another day.
If I got hit by a car, at least I wouldn't have to go to work. Like, just
Seriously,
that
no
kind of
joke.
thinking. Yep, yep.
That's
So
when you know you've seen the darkness.
and to me, like that becomes a switch because people ask me all the time, like, well, is it the case that like, are you making millions of dollars now? And it's like, no, no, but now I'm also not chasing millions of dollars. I'm chasing change. I'm chasing this shift, this paradigm shift and in people's minds because when I see all the bad things that happen in the world, I know that hey, I can actually have some part of a solution. And to me, it's like that is a legacy beyond anything else. If I had a cajillion dollars, I couldn't stop people from hating people. Like that there's,
Right.
if there was one political system and I was the boss of it, the king of it, if it was a monarchy, I couldn't stop people from hating people, from treating people unfairly. So
Mhm.
in my mind, it's like getting to the root of that, which is allowing people that empathy we talked about or to open people up to be able to express themselves and feel whole and feel heard. Now they don't have all of these things that they're holding on to the same way I was holding on to things. Now we're in a place where we can actually start to talk like regular people. And when we have these things that are biases and things, all of the stuff, all of the DEI stuff that's come out in the past year has really, really crippled a lot of people in the sense that they're they don't know what they should or shouldn't do, should or shouldn't say. They're afraid because we're really trying to uh, uh, tell people how they can be good people or not. When in all reality, people have to come to that on their own. So,
Yes.
like all of the excavating you're talking about, it helps people to get to that point where now they can choose to change or choose to stay the same. But to me, it's like that's God's work there. That's good stuff.
I have to bring up this faded bubble because that is my son. My son is
Oh,
on Twitch right now saying hi to his mom. So I appreciate it. Faded bubble, what's up, Sam? And I have a
great.
couple other comments. Remind me to come back to one
Yes,
thing I
yes,
want
yes.
to reframe that you said. But Abby Jules, how are you? Said we're more connected than we realize.
We are.
KDJ in the house. No ifs,
That's
ands, or
right.
buts, honey. Susan says we rise by lifting others. That's absolutely
That's so true.
true. I love this comment, Abby. The journey brings us to the crossroads that help us figure out who we are. The
That's
narrative
right.
is our bonding factor. Very interesting way of putting it. Hello, beautiful Jill, Chef Jill. Nice to see you. Monique said, where can we find more about your course? Kelly, go ahead.
Oh, about my course.
Mhm.
I am building my course. So, in probably about 2 weeks, I'll be releasing some information about it. And
Nice. Two
thank you, Monique. I
weeks.
love Monique. Monique is the
Isn't she
best.
great? She's
She's the one
great.
who told me to stop slumping. So,
For goodness.
thank you.
Uh-oh. I
Thank you,
better.
Monique.
And Abby said, a fulfilling of purpose equals true liberty and freedom. Truth. Yes. Look.
Yes. Yep.
Did you see this, Abby? That says truth in Hebrew. It says the word emes, which means truth. Living in your core values naturally creates impact. That is
That's
true,
right.
Mikey.
That's right.
Real talk. You know it, girl. That's where you came here for. Everyone has a different heart. Some are wide open, sadly. Some are closed. That's very true.
Yeah.
Very true. Oh, there's my girl. That's my best friend, Mary. She came to say hi. So, one thing I was going to say that I wanted to reframe that you said, if you don't mind that I do,
No,
you
no, no.
said something that you're chasing. What I think you've transitioned to is that you're allowing. I think you've transitioned to a place where you're truly allowing. And that's part of that fulfilled feeling that you feel every morning when you wake up. And you're
Mm,
like, and that's what I feel in wholeness is that
Hmm.
the A in breath is allow. So when it's allow, not control. When we can
Well, that's
relinquish
definitely the
control,
case. Yeah,
right?
yeah. Well, I'll be honest with you. I'm really content right now. Well, I'm content, but I'm not complacent. So when I think of
Great.
chase, it is not to make myself whole or full because I am whole and I am okay. And if I never took another step toward this thing, I feel like it would be because that was the right thing to do, and I'm okay. But no, I get exactly what you mean. That there's a almost a desperation when you have to have something versus when
Right.
there's like when something's a compliment versus being a supplement.
Well,
So
totally. And I have to tell you that in this journey for me, like it was unbelievable, almost an overnight thing where I made that choice to allow and everything. I know this sounds almost woo woo, and I'm not woo woo. Everything started to align as soon as I
mhm,
leaned in and I
yep,
said, this is it. Annie Lieb LLC is my career. This is my mission. This is my purpose. I'm
yep,
going to lift others daily. This is why I'm here. I'm leaning in. This is no longer a side hustle or a side
yep,
project. This
yep,
is
yep.
where I'm supposed to be. When
S-
I
Why?
leaned in, everything, the doors opened and the
Wait a
floodgates opened.
minute, wait a minute. That sounds pretty woo-woo, Annie.
Is it
How
too woo-woo for you?
no,
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 but when
not
I
at
said
all.
like everything aligned, I didn't want to be like too like, ooh, everything aligned. But like it
But I gotta
is.
tell you, see that I think that's when people say that, that's that fear talk. I talk about love. I talk about love a lot. And I'll ask people like, well, how do you define it? Like, give me what you would say is love, and then I'll explain to you what I say is love, and then I'll show you how that's a part of my purpose. But I think the problem is that when it feels like, well, I don't really know what to do or how to define this, yeah, it seems woo woo. That's why I want to ask you, Annie, what when you say all these doors opened up, what what actually changed?
I love how you come on my show and you interview me. It's my favorite thing about you. First of all, no, that's
Because I
not my
gotta
favorite thing.
know. I gotta
My
know.
my favorite thing about you is your smile. But then the second
Yes.
favorite thing is that you, because I love to be interviewed and it's hard to interview. So I'm so glad that
Yes.
you're doing the hard part. So thank you. What actually changed, to be completely truthful, when I started to allow, my business started to grow.
Hmm.
So clients were attracted to me, and then
Hmm.
ideas and everything for my groups and everything with Mike where we partner, and we decided to blow this whole thing up in the best way possible and
Yep.
expand, and
Yep.
everything started to align. But it wasn't, I was resistant. I mean, I was scared, I was resistant. And I always came from such an authentic, heart centered place that I was like, I am ready for this. Why is this not happening for me? What's going on? Like, honestly. And he's like, you're not ready. You're not ready. You're not ready. And I'm like, ugh. And I would get so annoyed with him. And then one day, like, I leaned into this soul centered place and my core values and all of these things that we're doing now with my clients, and it was gradual, but it seemed like overnight that things just
Why?
started to come in and just align.
Why did you lean in? What changed in you that made you lean in?
So there was a decision on my part, but I made a choice, like you said. But then I went to visit. It was over Passover. I went to
Hmm.
visit my dad and stepmom, and they're very important people in my life. And I went to visit them, and I sat down with my dad, and I went over my business plan with him. And it wasn't approval, it was respect and just understanding of what I wanted to do. Because he was of the generation that was kind of like, that's awesome. What's your real job?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's his
Yeah.
generation. Like, he was like, great, who's paying your health benefits? You know
Right.
what I mean? Like, that's what, like, awesome. That's so great that
Yep.
you're happy, but like, where's your 401k? You know? So,
Hmm.
like, this is the way my dad sort of, and many people,
That generation.
rightly so, that
Yeah.
generation.
Yeah.
So as soon as I decided this isn't a side gig, this is my life, this is who I am, when I explained that to him and stepped into that, that was a real turning point for me. So that visit was extremely big in my life as far as what that did for me, that I don't even think we saw it when we were in it. But as soon as
Yeah.
I got
Yeah.
home, I was like, wow,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. I find that see the reason I ask is because for me, I've had a similar journey, and it's really interesting to see that all of us kind of have a symbolic block and a symbolic wall, and to kind of happen to be like this is why when I hear people say, well, that's all that woo woo, blah blah blah. It's like, no, this is neuroscience. This is psychology. These are things that are very very well studied, and things that we just don't understand the numbers behind them. But to see that you've come up and said, hey, uh, there's a picture in my head of what is stability based on what my dad or those previous generations have said. This is stability, and if I leave from that, then I'm going out into a place that is the wild wild west. It can be anything. And when you decided to take a turn, to take a right turn on that and say, no, I'm going for it,
Yep.
obviously things do line up, because now you're a different Annie. And I,
Yes.
I don't know if people understand how powerful that is, but for me, black kid growing up in Chicago, poor, all the things, all the stereotypical things you'd imagine, those things. And I remember that at a certain point, I kind of stopped caring. I'm like, I don't care what all of these people think. I don't care how I'm supposed to be. I don't care how I'm perceived. Like, I am a man. I'm a macho, manly man, and yes, I cry at movies because
I
that's
love
that's
you.
real. Some of those movies are darn sad.
You
And
have you have a sensitivity. You have empathy.
how about this? If you're able to look at Marley and me and not cry, you're an
Then
animal.
something's wrong with you.
Yeah, it's something wrong with
Something's
you.
wrong with you.
Eh,
Yeah.
when I decided this, I got all of these funny stares, and I'm telling you, dudes will be like, guys are the best and the worst, because if someone's like, "Hey, check out the rack on her," and then you're the guy who says, "Yeah, I mean, that is an awesome rack. However, have you ever considered, though, as a whole human being, she has so much more to offer than breasts." And don't get me wrong, I'm a heterosexual male. I agree. I see it and I get the attraction, but let's not diminish her to that, because there's more that we can gain by getting to know and talk. Oh man, dudes are like, so never ask Kelly to go to the strip club again. But stepping into
Wow.
that has allowed me
So I
to,
think that example is amazing. Number one, I think
well,
that's
it's
amazing.
it's a true
And
one. It's happened a
it's,
bunch.
I'm sure. And you're like, I can appreciate a good rack. That's fine. But there's more
Hmm.
to her. And it just goes to
Yep.
show the depth that you have. And it's,
Yep.
I attribute that to the work that you've done. We have a couple comments, Kelly. Hold on
Oh
one
yeah,
sec.
yeah,
I
yeah,
was
yeah.
going to read a couple
All
of
right, because
these.
I'll talk.
Trust the process. I know me and you could, I can't believe this is only a half hour show. Trust the process, cliche, but
Ah,
true. It's not cliche. I get it. You were never. Hi. Hold on. I'm going down. I allow and accept others for who and as they are. My challenge is to extend that gift to myself. Wow,
that is
that's a
tough.
great point.
Dave,
That's a
that
great
is a
point.
lot. Yep.
That is a lot and hard to do. Pesach is a great time for planning a way forward. Thank you. I agree with you. It was. It was.
Hmm.
Your dad must be so proud. You're going to make me cry, Susan. Almost missed tonight. Hi, Brad. Great to see you. It's
Yep.
finding your calling, your purpose meant to be. You know it, girl. You know it.
Right.
Abby, love your. That was almost my son's name, by the way. Love your growth, Annie. Sending you abundant positive energy. Thank you. I appreciate that so much. That's an awesome outlook. So the people that are here, many people don't know it's the last Living with Annietude, but
Yeah.
it is. And, with someone like you, this show goes so fast, and I would stay on and
Yeah.
talk to you, but get this, I'm on yet another show.
That's right.
After this, I'm on Mike Panorano's show with Jairus Tucker. So I'm on that in about 2 minutes, but I have to tell you, this has been so fun to catch up with you. We have to do this whether on a show or not, because
That's
I
right.
love you.
That's
I
right.
think you're amazing. I love the perspective that you bring. I love the vibe that you bring. And I just wish you nothing but success with your course. And please keep me posted on what's going on so I can support you.
I sure will. I sure will. Thank you, Annie, for the time. Love you guys, and I will see you soon.
Hang tight. I'm going to play my final outro. Check this out. You haven't seen this
No,
yet,
no
Kel.
squirrels. No squirrels,
No
honey.
squirrels. No squirrels. Hold on
Okay.
one sec. Wait, here we go. Hold on. It's always hard for me to find it, and then I mess it all up. Okay. All right, guys. Living with Annietude, we're out. Let's be the best version of ourselves. Just keep learning and evolving no matter what. So here I am, bold, strong, fearless. Let's live fearlessly together. This is real and candid. This is how we live. Share this with a friend and subscribe to Living with Annietude. You, me, us. Let's talk. Let's evolve.